Hello and welcome to this first People's Countryside in Conversation film with myself, Ross, Stuart and William. We're in Shotover Country Park today and we're just going to tell you about the journey we've been on recently with the People's Countryside, from our crowdfunding trip that we wanted to do over in Guernsey and Oxfordshire and now Llandudno. Does anyone have anything they want to start with?
I'd basically just like to say we've been on a crowdfunding journey probably for the last 6 months, as Ross said, looking to do a trip over to Guernsey. And it was a very different community to try and engage with. So that didn't take off. And then we've delayed that till next year. And then we had two come in quite close together projects. One was Holywell Cemetery in Oxford and one was Llandudno in North Wales. But I would just like to talk about the platform we're using potentially to use as a crowdfunding platform. And our first trip will be in Llandudno, February, March in 2018. But we've chosen Kickstarter as the platform, and I'd just like to explore with these guys why we chose that and maybe the weaknesses of the current platform in the first generation, in its first incarnation. William, having designed a couple of dummy Kickstarters, what are the benefits of using Kickstarter, you feel, to start with?
Well, so specifically the Kickstarter platform, it does mean that all the money that we raise, or sort of the more the money that we ask for, we actually have to get the entire total. Even if we ask for £3,000, we have to get the £3,000, which means that if we meet our target, that means we will definitely go ahead with the project. Whereas it could be that other platforms could actually end up having half the total, and it means we get the money, but that means we still can't do that particular project. What I've found so far with my experience with working with Kickstarter still is that it's still quite a new thing also within the UK. I think outside of the UK, especially within the United States, crowdfunding seems to be quite a big thing over there. But within the UK in particular, there's still a lot of I wouldn't say misinformation, or just it's more a misunderstanding of what exactly it is. I probably have come across it through various other platforms, other people who have been doing crowdfunding. But yeah, what do you think, Ross?
I think crowdfunding is at the point where it's not an overly saturated market, but it's a thing that people still aren't quite aware of. I think we found that, particularly perhaps the younger generation understand what crowdfunding is, and they use it more actively. Slightly older people might not understand how crowdfunding works, but equally they understand what our project, the People's Countryside, is about more, and how they see what the benefit of it is, but they might not understand the means that we're trying to fund it.
Having designed a couple of template Kickstarter campaigns, and we didn't go live with them yet, we're going to go live with Llandudno. What do you feel were the weaknesses of the current facilities on Kickstarter as a creator creating a page? What would you feel that it'd be great if Kickstarter introduced, and maybe they're listening and that they'll take note, but what would you like to see incorporated?
I think sometimes the real basic thing of being able to, if you've done a Kickstarter and maybe you haven't launched it, and you want to, because what's happening with what's happening with the Kickstarters we've done so far has been that we've got all the information for a particular place, and generally the information is going to be, because it's the same project, it's the same ideas for we're taking the same ideas and the same project to each location. So a lot of the information is, I wouldn't say generic, but it's not specific to one location. So it would be good to be able to actually simply copy one Kickstarter to another Kickstarter, or almost make it a template and then use that as a template to then start a new one. I can understand why that is not necessarily something that Kickstarter would have, because they probably feel that everybody has a Kickstarter and it's only just one. It's a one-off project. Whereas for our project, we aren't limiting ourselves to one place. We've got the idea. We know what we want to do. We know what we want to produce in each location, and it's going to be the same pretty much in every location. Hence the reason why it's a TV program. Hence the reason why it's a radio show. There's always going to be a format around that. But I think that's maybe where we're struggling in a bit, isn't it? What do you think, Stuart, yourself? I mean, I know that's some frustration you've had yourself in a way.
I mean, I like cutting and pasting, if it's the easiest way. But unfortunately, the formatting is totally lost when you try and do it on Kickstarter. But and I don't know. It's just the beginning of the technology, isn't it? The platform crowdfunding, and I just think what all the platforms will look like in about 5 years will be completely different to how they are now. But I just, for me, it's the cutting and pasting lack of that's the issue. You have to literally manually type it over again.
I was just going to change tack as well, actually. Just a question for all three of us is, how do you think it's also been between the three of us? We all have a different sort of experience of the Kickstarter. I mean, Ross, you've been doing a lot more of the admin work than myself and Stuart has. What do you kind of think about Kickstarter now? Has it changed your feelings about how crowdfunding works?
I think a key point is that there are probably hundreds of different crowdfunding websites. You can get some with equity crowdfunds, you can do some for charity, and I think the two big websites that certainly we debated using was Kickstarter and Indiegogo. And I know that both those sites have a different dynamic, because Indiegogo allows you to have a flexible goal, which means that if you don't reach your funding target, you can keep the money that you do raise, which is all very well, but the dynamic of Kickstarter, because it's very all or nothing, I think you almost get a better push. People feel more encouraged to fund you because they know that if you're 20 quid short of your goal, then you're not going to get the funding. So I think it's a case of each platform having its own defined, its different uses. And I think Kickstarter so far is still, despite its flaws of not being able to duplicate projects, I think Kickstarter still suited us the best so far.
The moving on slightly, I'd like to just explore towards the end of this film. I've mentioned we started designing a project around Guernsey, and that didn't take off straight away, so we moved to Holywell Cemetery in Oxford, and quickly Llandudno overtook that, and we've done a deal to go there early in 2018. What are your thoughts? You haven't been there. I've been there twice, 2 or 3 times, doing deals and meeting people. What are your thoughts on what you expect to meet in that area? I don't know if you've been, but what can you expect, and what can the viewers expect?
Well, of course, the Great Orme is. I'm aware of the place. I've never actually been there. I have been up to North Wales before. You can't miss it, can you? When you're up there, it's quite a geological anomaly in some ways, because it's right on the coast. It's a massive hill, literally. It's like a headland that sticks out, and I can imagine you must get some pretty amazing views from at the top. There's a tramway that goes up, isn't there? So I'm looking forward to sort of seeing what the area is like. I don't have too much expectation, I suppose, really.
There used to be a radar station on the top, because you could, during the war, that it was so high you could actually pick up aeroplanes over Wolverhampton, so far away. So it's seriously high.
I think the projects we've done so far, because obviously we're in Oxfordshire, we're probably one of the counties that's furthest away from the seaside. It will definitely be interesting to incorporate something by the sea into the People's Countryside, which I know is something that's always been on the cards when we started this last year. So I'm looking forward to, from a videographer's point of view, getting some creative shots, maybe, getting a drone out to sea, something like that. I think would be an interesting experience.
Is your camera waterproof?
No.
Not
that one anyway.
No, because I was sat in the B&B we're going to stay in last Saturday, and I said to Sue, my wife, I think one of us is going to end up in the water, and it could well be you.
I'm sure it probably will, knowing what you two are like, playing jokes on me.
I was going to say that is when you say somebody's going to end up in the water, do you mean by accident or by design? So yeah, it's the North Wales coast is a lovely part of the country anyway. Like I said, you're just off the edge of Snowdon, aren't you? And Snowdonia itself is absolutely stunning. So I'm looking forward to just being up there and meeting the local people and seeing just exactly what they're up to, really, I suppose, and how we can assist in their help in nature, really.
The angle, as we sign out, the angle of this Llandudno trip will be basically, there's a big movement for food banks in Britain at the moment because of all the poverty, and we want to showcase the Nature's Food Bank that's on the doorstep. So we'll be going up to the beach in Llandudno and the forests around there, and we'll be showing how to harvest from nature's own larder. And we will also be William will actually be cooking up some of the produce to show how you can actually make yourself a meal from what's actually out there in nature. So that's the angle we will be asking for crowdfunding for in 2018. So I'll let Ross sign out.
Yeah, thank you for watching this little film. This is hopefully going to be one of, maybe a series of conversation films that we'd like to do possibly every quarter. Just saying what we're up to and keeping you guys up to date. So thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel for free, and look out for our Kickstarter crowdfunding pages.